Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 4, Episode 33, DJI Mini SE Release, Hubsan Zino Mini Pro ship date. How is everyone doing tonight? First of all, I hope you got a chance to catch me on one of the best drone shows on YouTube, Drone Nation, on Monday night. I was there with Ron and Marcus and Lauren. We had a great discussion. If you didn't catch the replay, please do so. It was just an awesome evening. I want to thank Ron and Marcus for having me on again. And it was always great to see Lauren and engage with him in some chat as well. Just a fantastic evening. So great show. Please go check it out, okay? And a side note, okay? Check out the other drone shows. Johnny Drone Flyer put out a great list. It was a spreadsheet of all the shows that are out there. Please go check that out. And another thing, hang on a second here. I got to get a swig. Well, look, we have Mr. Marcus Crawford tonight. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, Bill. Not too bad. Yeah, so it's an interesting times in the drone world, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh. Tell me about it. Absolutely. Tell me about it. I was just saying what a great show we had last night on Drone Nation. What a great panel. Having Lauren on last night as well, too. That was just that was just fantastic. Just thoroughly enjoyed my evening last night.
Good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And then, of course, the bombshell late last night. And I don't know if you've already talked about it, but yeah, you know, the old SE bombshell. DJI just flying their bomber over the top. All this talk about minis, and then
boom. Yeah. And you know, DJI, once again, they suck all the oxygen out of the room, okay?
Just instantly.
It's gone. It's just like, I saw your thing and I saw your post, and, well, you know what? I pulled the trigger too, okay? Got mine on Amazon, and it's coming Thursday. So
good, Bill. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah,
you know,
here's the thing. You or I need another mini drone like we need a hole in our head, right?
Yeah.
But but we're drone reviewers. It's what we do, and it's an exciting product.
Yeah, it is, and it is a little different from what Lauren said, and you know, it's something to talk about. It's something that's generating some excitement, some interest in everything, and I was just like, you know what, let's just do it, okay? And that kind of price, I mean, seriously, where can you get a drone of that quality at that price? You know?
There's just a number of things to unpack here, Bill. I mean, there's a number of nuances to this, and I'll let you lead the conversation, but trust me, I got a lot of things on my mind, particularly with, as you know, the kind of some of the lesser drones that I review and the impact that this drone is going to have on them.
Yeah, and one of the first things that I want to talk about, which was something we couldn't talk about last night, was DroneDJ had an article about, drum roll, the Mavic 3, okay? And you know, we kept quiet about the Mavic 3 last night, but I wanted to go ahead and share this, and then I don't know if you've seen this article, Marcus, and just kind of get your thoughts from it. And you know, what they say makes sense here. So let me go ahead and get that up.
Okay. Well, hey, while you're doing that, Bill, I guess I can kind of talk to the audience, and there's some other things that have been going on. Ali Shanmao put up the first consumer video that I've seen on that Hubsan Mini as well. He does just an outstanding unboxing on it, so it's worth looking at if you get
I did see that and get a chance to watch it because I was working today, and I wanted to watch Ron's live stream with Johnny today, and I couldn't do that either because he went on right in the middle of work, and I couldn't do that. But I'm going to go back and make sure we watch that later. This is really interesting. One is the release date for DJI's Mavic 3 Pro, Q1 2022. Now, they talk about a lot of things here, okay? And the drone is targeted to be finalized in October, not produced for sale. Final product specs design settled on. October 15th is current internal target date, which will likely be met. But then it'll take 2 months, maybe a bit more, to prepare automated lines, assembly equipment, etc., for full-scale ramp-up. Then DJI internally targets 2 months of full-scale production prior to release. And by that we mean that explains why leaks have been few and far between and why we haven't seen any images of the full Mavic 3 Pro yet. Remember this pic of what was said to the Mavic 3 Pro shell? Well, that's an indication the product isn't yet finalized. Then our source fills in some of the blanks. I think you see where this is going, why there will only be more leaks for a while. The shells you have seen were EVT units, engineering verification test shells. That's the second step after DVT testing. Production has nowhere near begun. And don't expect a zoom model. Here's our source. And lastly, add a final bit of info. There will not be a zoom model. The sensor is micro four third, but development has been problematic on the Hasselblad side. 3 final prototypes now. Combine all the internal problems of the major chip shortage for new smart controller, and the delay is anticipated to be Q1 2022 for actual product release. And they continue the rest of the article there. Marcus, did you have a chance to see this? I don't know if you did or not. I'm just curious as to what your thoughts are on this.
Right now, just stuck out like a sore thumb to me. Are they really saying micro four thirds?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big old sensor to put on a folding drone, isn't it?
Yeah. And the first thing that hits me is heat dissipation. The heat that thing is going to generate.
Yeah, that's a big bombshell right there, I would say, Bill. I'm wondering about that, but yeah, I mean, it'll definitely blow the drone world away if they can come up with that. Because just think, the real camera guys. I mean, that takes it really into the professional realm, right?
Oh yeah, that goes from prosumer leaning more to pro than consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind, I saw that as well too, and I kind of stopped and kind of like caught myself for a second there, because that you're right, that is an incredible piece of news to come across. And in this article I think it appears genuine. I think it's real, and I think it's probably what we're going to be targeting. So save your nickels and dimes for next year, because that's when it's going to hit. And like I said, and I've always been saying this all along, and I have, this may crack the 2K barrier.
Oh, I'm certain that it will. There's no question. In fact, if it's under $2,500, I think we're going to be lucky.
Yeah.
Now that kind of brings up a good point for drone hobbyists. Does that take it to that next level where it's really, really at the tippy top high end of the prosumer range? And we've been talking a lot about mini drones, and I'm just trying to think, okay, what is it that I do with a drone that like the Air 2S can't do for me? Now, I guarantee I'll probably get one because I'm a drone nerd and I love drones, and there's going to be some amazing features on it. But I just am saying that a guy like me will probably never do a drone like that justice.
And I'm going to say that, the first person I thought of who will do that drone justice is definitely Ron Brown. Okay.
And guys like Billy Kyle,
Ken Dono, Rick Smith. Those are the guys, that get into the nuts and the bolts and everything. And I pretty much fall in line with you. It's like, okay, got some good settings, gonna go with them. Okay. I'm not gonna sit there and spend all kind of time going into the settings and adjusting things. I want to get up and fly. I want to get some good video, is what I want. And I'm not, but be that as it may, okay, it's going to lean, like we just said, more towards a pro side than a consumer side. But still, that's going to, I still think you're going to get a lot of consumer, like the audience on Drone Nation, the audience on Rotor Talk and so forth. They're still going to be interested in something like this. This isn't going to hold them back just because it's going to have that kind of a camera.
Yeah, let me tell you what would be just a killer feature for me is, I love my Skydio too. I love that drone. I in no way regret purchasing it. It's a fairly expensive product. But do I really use the tracking on that drone to its full advantage? No, I don't. But if the Mavic 3 had that same kind of tracking ability or even close to it, it would kind of render the Skydio 2 useless, or not as important in my fleet of drones here. if I could get a drone like the Mavic 3 and have the ability to do all the things that we do with the Air 2S and so forth, a folding drone, compact drone, and be able to do the kind of tracking and obstacle avoidance that we can see on the Skydio 2, that would be a big old game changer for me. The other thing, Bill, that I'm willing to bet that's in the works, and maybe part of what's holding up that drone, is remote ID. They're probably trying to settle all of the technical details of that. And it's probably even out of control of DJI. Part of that is the FAA, etc. So I guarantee you I would be willing to bet that's part of the delay to that drone.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, Marcus, because, you know, people were talking. You remember DJI talked about how all their drones that were going to come out were going to have the APAS on it, and just, you know, to try to maybe kind of, you know, satisfy the FAA for a little bit, and
right.
And you know, and you're right as far as remote ID is concerned. You know, they're going to have to make sure that it's going to fit in with whatever the FAA decides, you know, their final tweak of that design for whatever it's going to be, because, you know, and to make it kind of, you know, so if you have to do a software update, that it'll take care of it, whatever the FAA decides to do, kind of a thing.
Right, right.
So, you know, yeah, it's exciting to find this out. And I think the news is real because, you know, it's really kind of tempered down. You know, there's no real pictures, but there's a lot of data, a lot of information here. And it kind of makes a lot of sense when you read all this and put it together. So it's kind of like one of those things, you know, kind of like, let's just put this to the side of the table here, because, you know, the next subject we're going to talk about here, you know, is going to, excuse me, is going to be the Mini SE. Okay. You know, we knew it was out. You know, our good friend Captain Drone had it, Steve, up in Canada. Lauren told us it was out in Canada. You know, we're kind of expecting it because there was an FCC filing and all that kind of good stuff. And then boom, our good friend Barry Markowitz says, "Hey guys, it's for sale at Best Buy. Go get yourself one."
Yeah. He sent me an email last night about. I got an email from Barry about, I don't know, it was about 12:30 or so my time, maybe a quarter after 12, something like that. And I said, "Hey." So all this talk, and our good friend Rick Smith, and Rick's a pretty good prognosticator. He didn't think it would be out until November.
Yeah.
So DJI, they did it, and I kind of thought, why would they wait? Anyway, it turned out to be true. And Bill, I just got right on Best Buy's website the minute that I got that email from Barry and said, okay, let's get this thing coming. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So you think about your original Mini, but yet it will have the level 5 wind resistance and the power of the Mini 2. Yeah, it's going to be a solid piece of equipment, man, for $300.
Yeah, oh, I know. You know, that's just, you know, that price. Okay, you know, let's equate it. Okay, and this is a totally unfair comparison. Okay, and I think you probably know where I'm going to go. Okay, that dreadful drone that you've had not one, not two, but three of. Okay, and you know, it's an unfair comparison. It's just totally unfair to go there with this. Okay, yeah. Pretty much. I mean, it's not even close, and it won't even be close. And you think about it, okay? They come in, and I think the biggest bombshell for me personally, when Ron pinged me and let me know, and he told me about your post this morning, because that was the first time I'd seen it. I said, "How much?" He was $299. My jaw hit the floor. It took me a while to respond back. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, and so you know, like you said, I review, you know, the SJRC F11 is probably my favorite in that bargain category. It actually works, but the video and everything else is not nearly what the Mini is. And you know, I think about all those other little MJX drones and C-Flies and all those other things. Why would you buy something like that when you can buy a DJI Mini drone for $299? It's going to work, and it's going to work great, and you're going to get amazing video for it. Bill, think about this. That thing is going to be on the shelf at Walmart. It's going to be on the shelf at Best Buy. People are going to be able to order it on Amazon. Brad Alston, by the way, he ordered his late last night to be delivered today.
Oh, my God.
He made it on the one-day delivery, so he got it evidently before midnight, and so he's actually taken delivery of the drone today. That's just stunning. And it's also going to be, Costco will have it.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of these drones out there. So where we're going with this, right, is, okay, you're going to have a bunch of amateurs with these drones. Are they going to follow rules? Is they going to create a bunch of grief? The Best Buy website, when I went to purchase that drone, it automatically took me to a site and said, hey, here's things you need to know when you're buying. So really cool that you got a drone, but here's what you have to do now. And it had links to the FAA website and all that other stuff. So kudos to Best Buy for that.
Didn't have that on Amazon, but I went to try to order it through my Best Buy. They weren't delivering until next Tuesday, and I'm like, no. So I went out to Amazon.
I got the shipping notice already. Listen, Hubsan.
Yeah, hello.
I got the shipping notice already from DJI.
That's something we're going to be talking about here in a few. But, the thing that just jumps out, Marcus, okay, and you made a good point. There's all these Potenzics out there and Holy Stones and all these other ones, that are okay. They're okay drones. Okay, they're not.
Some are okay. Some of them are pure garbage. But your point is made.
Yeah, for $299, why should you look anywhere else? Really?
What are you going to recommend? People ask me about drones all the time. I'm just going to say one thing: go buy a DJI Mini SE. Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's no question about that. There's just absolutely no question. And the one thing that I think, and this is one thing, and I want to go back. You and I have kind of knocked the Fly app a little bit at times for some things, okay? But I'll tell you what, the Fly app has grown up, and I think it's kind of overtaken its big brother, the Go 4 app, because the Go 4 app looks dated. Okay. While the information on there is still good and everything, I still think it kind of looks dated. The Fly app is going to be a lot easier and more intuitive for people, especially first-time drone owners. Okay. To be able to, do auto takeoffs, return to home, everything. It's going to be so much easier for them.
Yeah, no, totally agree. They've turned that Fly app into something that I think is pretty good. There's a few niggly little things, but there's always going to be on any app that you look at. There's going to be some things that you wish could be better or worse. But overall, it's just a darn home run. Yeah,
and we got to thank Barry Markowitz. I mean, seriously, Barry's on top. If something breaks, he'll let us know about it. He does not. Barry, there's one thing that Barry is not. He is not shy. Okay, he will definitely let us know about things like that. And Barry, thank you again so much for getting a hold of Marcus, letting him know, and getting the word out. So this is just great news. And then
I just want to say he sent an email to both Ron and I. I just happened to be the one that was up at 12:30 a.m. to see it. Ron, just was already in bed.
Well, how you were talking about a November release or later kind of release for this, this is a strong and clear signal in my book that you'll see a Mini 3 come out about that time.
Well, you should have got a hold of Rick Smith and had him on this show tonight.
I've been trying to get a hold of Rick. He hasn't. I've sent him a couple of emails because I want to get him on and talk about this.
Yeah, because if you watched his last video, he talks at length about when he thought we would see the SE. Because as you know, he ordered one, I think, from Hong Kong, and he did his unboxing and so forth. But he was thinking a November release, and but I would just so love to hear his thoughts on it now.
Yeah. Well, there's also the possibility too, and I'm going to say this: he might be under NDA too. There's a possibility. You never know.
He said he wasn't on that video.
Oh, okay. Because I haven't seen that video.
He said no.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna text him because I have his phone number. I'm gonna text him and say we're gonna get him on. I'm gonna try to get him on next week because this is just too good. I mean, it really. This is like Christmas in August. I mean, seriously, $299 for this. I mean, it's too crazy. It is just absolutely too crazy.
Well, here, the frustrating thing for me is, one of the things that I've always tried to do on my channel is to show what I recognize is, I can go out and buy an Air 2S. There's a lot of people that Air 2S might as well be $1 million. I mean, they just don't have the funds to do it. But to democratize the hobby, to get that down to where people can have a decent drone at a lower price. And at one time, I used to promote the original Hubsan Zino as that. It wasn't anything like a DJI drone, but it was pretty good. Well, now it's a DJI drone in that lower price zone. And when somebody asks me, even they say, well, I got $200 to buy a drone, I'm going to tell them, well, save up another 100 and go buy that Mini SE. And then you've got just a solid product.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's going to be very, very interesting here. I'm looking, I'm trying to pull something up for what we're going to talk about next year. But yeah, I'm very, very, very excited about that. So, okay. Well, we were going to be talking about this. Okay. The elephant in the room. All right. It's just like, okay. And as Marcus said, okay, Hubsan, DJI had the ball in their court. It's your turn. Let's see what your guys are going to do now. I mean, really?
So I ordered mine on May 7th. They've had my $569 since May 7th, and I don't even have as much as a tracking number. So, it's kind of tough.
Well, I'm going to show you. I got an email reply from Hubsan US today. I went in and I looked at my email, and this is what they're telling me here. Okay. Hello, Bill. Thank you for your inquiry. I was just informed it should be ready to ship on Friday the 13th. Isn't that? I mean, it's just like so ominous. Friday the 13th. I'm just like, oh man. I'm laughing at first that it's Friday the 13th, but it's like, here we go again. We heard it was going to ship on the 11th, and there's been nothing. But I mean, there's been some activity too, and I think internationally, I think some people are getting theirs. I think we've seen that with some of them on that site, and I know that one gentleman posted his unboxing video, which is great. So we know that they're going out, okay, and that's a good sign. I mean, because there's been a lot of people out there.
Alex Shimano did just an outstanding job on that unboxing. He went through it in detail, and he's going to take it out and fly it. So, looking forward to seeing what he does with that drone. And he is, I don't know what the deal is, Bill. He is involved with Hubsan somehow. When Hubsan sent me the Zino 2 Plus for a review, and it came, he was involved in that somehow, and I don't know exactly how that works. But anybody that's seen his reviews, he reviews a lot of drones, and he's pretty he's a pretty good reviewer. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with it.
Yeah, it really will. And let's and I'm gonna say this because I've seen so many comments on when we've talked about the Zino Mini Pro, and so many people have been negative about it and everything. And I'm gonna say this, okay. Their live show video was a total disaster, just a total freaking disaster. They should have, I tell you what, Marcus, there are some 10-year-olds that probably have YouTube channels that could do better than they did. I mean, seriously, what's it take? All right. It was just a total disaster. All right. And they've come out and they've set a mark for themselves. Okay. They've drawn a line and they said, you know what? This is where we're at. this is what we have here, okay? And like we talked about last night, and I think this is an important point, okay? This thing for Hubsan to finally get over that hump and say, you know, they're a real drone company. Look at us, we're producing a quality product, is to say out of the box, no firmware updates, that it's going to have that obstacle avoidance is going to work. It's going to hover. There's going to be no gimbal shakes. There's going to be no sun flare kind of issues, you know, lens flare issues. Nothing. It's going to work out of the box the way it was designed. We're going to get 30 minutes plus out of that battery out of it, and the video is going to be great. I mean, that's what we all expect from this, Marcus.
Well, they're predicting 40-minute flight time. I want to correct you with that little detail, but 30 minutes would be awesome. 30 minutes would be great. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, Bill, when that thing shows up on my doorstep, it like you said, it better be ready to go. Unlike the Fimi product, it better be ready to go out of the box. Not saying there can't be just a niggly little small little thing at the periphery. You know, even DJI has an occasional little issue like that. But for the most part, it better be a solid product. We paid full price for it, right? I paid more for that drone than I paid for my DJI Mini 2. So
same
the
here.
expectation is that this thing is going to be good. And if it's not, you'll see well, we'll be very disappointed. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, you know, and you know, Hubsan has a chance to redeem themselves with this. Okay, you know, I'll call it, you know, the Zino 2. You know, and there was so much positivity about it, and everybody was hyped up about it, and then it came out, and you know, then that doggone lens flare issue. Okay, that just cropped up with that. Okay, and you know, and I think, and one of the things I really liked what you said was, and this was before the Fimi Mini came out, you know, it's like if Fimi and Hubsan can kind of get together, you know, if Hubsan can kind of like tell them, Fimi, this is how you should make a gimbal, okay? And if Fimi could say, this is how you should do a camera to Hubsan, you know, without any lens flare issues or flying ability, you know, to mold those two together, you know, you'd have a good drone. You know, I remember you saying something like that.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to tell you. That the Zino 2 Plus is really it's a decent product. It's a good product. The only negative that I can come up with on that Zino 2 Plus is the lens flare issue. Other than that, I mean, hey Ron, Bill, all of the intelligent flight modes work as they should. The drone flies great. It's fast. It's got good controls. They did get that Zino 2 Plus refined pretty good. And the thing that I can ding it on is that lens flare.
Hey Ron, how are you tonight?
I'm doing very well, Bill. There was a very big day here. We talked about some things last night. I think DJI was listening to us.
Yes, I think you're right. Okay, and before I forget, Barry Markowitz is in the chat, by the way, tonight, guys. So Barry,
Barry sent us all emails late last night, probably after everybody fell asleep. Well, maybe not Marcus because he's out west, but letting us know that the little Mini SE dropped on Best Buy as well as Amazon and other outlets in the U.S.
Yeah, sure.
Barry, you made me spend money, Barry.
And also a big shout out to Lon. If Lon's in chat, Lon also sent me a message in the middle of the night saying Lon Denard sent us a message in the middle of the night saying that it was available.
So Ron, where did you order yours from?
Well, I ordered mine from Bill the Drone Reviewer's store. No, I mean I know you guys may have talked about it already, and we did a little pop-up show this morning, Johnny and I.
Yeah,
I think it's a great product, for especially beginners, people getting into the market. Maybe people have older drones and whatever. Fantastic product. The price point is as sharp as it could be. We speculated last night between $299 and $349, and they hit the low end, which is great. But I mean, for me, so for the people that don't have a drone or only have like a toy drone or an older drone, it's wonderful. But for me, it's a product that I have no interest in. And I'm not trying down. It's a great drone, but I'm just saying, it's like Marcus owns a Corvette. If Chevy came out with a Corvette Mini that had half the performance and was cheaper, Marcus would be, and that's just the way it is. But again, I'm not trying to down anybody's excitement, because again, this is an important drone for the market, for the under $300 segment of the market, and for anybody's first drone or first real drone, this is a great product.
Well, your point is well made, Ron, and Bill and I already said that earlier, that the reason that we both bought it is, quite frankly, because we're drone reviewers and we want to show it, And I
think Marcus brings up a good point. I think for us, at least for me, and I think probably for Marcus too, people are going to ask us questions, and it's like, oh, well, I remember when I had the Mini. Okay, well, that's not going to cut it here. So, for $299, it's a small price to pay. It's cutting out some Starbucks on weekends for me. So
of course it will run the same app as the Mini too. So any app related questions will transfer over, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's only from a hardware standpoint, as far as, I don't know, things like, well, how does it handle the wind? How fast does it fly? Could be different. But from an app standpoint, feature set or whatever, it's going to relate closely to this, because quite frankly, the Mini series doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles as far as intelligent flight features anyways. So there's not anything to really test on that market or differentiate it from the Mini 2.
That's absolutely right, Ron. The one thing that I'm going to argue with you a little bit is the Mini 2 and the Mini SE, the flight characteristics should be nearly identical, because it's and this is what Rick Smith was looking into. He felt like the motors and the ESCs were directly off of the Mini 2. And
well, Lauren told us, the three of us on the show with Lauren last night, and Lauren told us he flew it, and he said he thought it definitely flew better than the Mini 1.
Yeah, no question. Yeah.
So really, you're getting a little bit of a tweaked Mini 1. Those ESC, and it's going to make a difference, especially being able to handle the wind a little bit better too. I mean, I'm trying to look at these things from a positive kind of a standpoint, instead of like dwelling on, it's just a rehash of the, it's just a mini rebadge. It's not.
Hey, Bill, so I want to mention one more thing, because I just thought of it, and I know I keep talking about Rick Smith's review, but that's, he's an engineer and he understands these things better than any of us. And he was explaining the differences in the kinds of ESCs on the original Mini, the Mavic Mini, and the Mini 2. And he's not only does it allow the drone to be more powerful and handle the wind better, but he said it also allows it to have better control and be more precise. So I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys, it really made sense to me when he said that, because I noticed my Mini 2, I can be so precise with that drone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's unlike the Fimi Mini in my experience with that. So,
And let me finish up too. I'm not being prejudiced towards the DJI SE. I'm not buying the Hubsan SE either. I'm not buying any SEs.
You're SE-less.
I'm boycotting the SE models. I mean, to tell you, I've said this to Marcus off air, but to tell you the truth, if I was going to throw another $300 at DJI right now for kind of older tech, I'd rather try that like Pocket 2 thing that everybody raves about or whatever, because that could be better than what I'm using now to make video. But the Mini SE is not going to be better than what I'm currently using to record video.
Well, Ron, I'm going to make a little. You just brought it up. I'm going to make a little prediction right here. I'm willing to bet that we see that DJI Osmo Action 2 very, very soon, and that's where your $300 could go.
Yeah, I was going to say I would much rather throw my $300 at the Action 2. In fact, I'm going to go right out here in a limb right now, guys. Write this down on the tablets. I'm going to choose between either the Hero 10 or the Action 2. I'm not buying both. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to wait until both of them come out. No pre-order and pre-releases, no taking my money and holding it. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch all the experts' reviews and whatever, and I'm going to say, this is the one I'm getting.
Awesome. Well, Ron,
we will have money to spend, Bill, because according to DroneDJ today, the Mavic 3 has been pushed back to Q1 of 2022.
We were just talking about
right
that.
now. I have actually that fund I'm saving for the Mavic 3. That fund's got plenty of time to grow now.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the first thing Marcus and I talked about. I wanted to share this email with you. I got an email from Hubsan US today. And I was told, I was just informed, it should be ready to ship on Friday the 13th. So
Friday the 13th. Tell them
that's what I said too. Friday.
All this time, and you got to send on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, it's like let's I'm not sure the Chinese know that that's considered bad luck over here or what kind of a thing.
But we're back to just like the mothership. Hubsan US, it's all I couldn't say this last night, but Barry said it to me. It's like that old song from the 60s. It's all rainbows, lollipops, and sunshine everywhere.
Yeah.
When you talk to these companies. The next thing they'll tell you when you email on Friday, they're going to tell you, oh, the truck's 2 blocks away from your house.
Yeah. They'll tell you anything you want to hear. Okay, anything you want to hear at this point. And go ahead, Marcus.
Hey, well, I just saw a post in the chat that I think is bearing repeating. Monster Feet he found something in the specs that I think is very interesting. He's saying that it only has a maximum pitch of 30 degrees as opposed to the SE I'm talking about, the Mini SE, as opposed to the Mini 2, which is 40 degrees. So that's interesting. So it may not be as fast, and the flight characteristics may very well be different. That's a great comment.
Yeah, I mean, it'll give you guys opportunities to make all those SE versus the Mini 2 videos or whatever, which will be interesting. But I'm not ruining anybody's video, but I can tell you right now, if you can't decide between either one, and money's no object, just go get 2 right now, whatever. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna make a video saying the SE is better than the Mini 2. So
it's not going to happen. You're right.
So the
price point product. Yeah, it's a price point product.
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's look at it this way, okay? And I hate to bring this up as a comparison, but I'm thinking about a price leader, okay? You guys remember, okay, and it's not the best example in the world, but I'm sure you guys remember the Yugo, okay? All right.
I love the little Yugo.
Okay. The thing that drove the sales for that was the price. I mean, it was a crazy price. I forget what it was.
It was like under $5,000, right?
It was under $5,000. Yeah, it was just crazy. But pretty much as soon as you got the car, it fell apart. I mean, it was horrible.
Remember, a lot of people thought it stood for you. You get it and you go, or something like you go, you get it and you go.
You get it, you go. Yeah, pretty much. Well, a price leader is going to attract a lot of customers. And a lot of people are just going to buy based on price alone. And I think this is going to be the same thing with the Mini SE. A lot of people are going to buy just based on price alone for that. Okay. And Marcus and I talked about earlier, there's a lot of drones out there for that kind of a price point, but you know what? None have the quality of the Mini SE. None of them.
Not even close. Not even in the same universe, let alone solar system.
Are you throwing whatever at our little friend here?
Yeah.
Marcus almost threw his at the camera. Yeah. So
the whole Mini SE kind of reminds me of how like every once in a while Apple put out, people always complain about smaller phones. I think last time around Apple put out an Apple 12. I think they even call it SE. Anyway, it's a small version of their phone, but of course it's crippled in every way. It doesn't have as fast as processor. It doesn't have as good as camera. It doesn't have as much memory. It's much inferior to the bigger model in every way. But some people buy it for 2 things: the price, as Bill just mentioned, and some people just want a smaller phone. But Apple still does this every once in a while. They put SE out because they know it. You know, it's a cheap way to make money. They recycle old parts in it, whatever. You know, put a new paint a coat on it or whatever, and you know, they sell enough of them to make it work.
Yeah, and it's the name, okay? It's the name, Apple, okay? Same thing here, the name, DJI, okay? It's like you hear Potenzic, you hear Holy Stone, you hear like,
Yeah.
You hear DJI, it's like, okay, yeah, I know DJI, okay?
Hey,
so.
Can I give a warning out to any potential SE customers out there? And I'm not talking about Marcus Crawford, who has to buy every drone to review it or whatever, or build a drone review. I'm talking about just the, you know, Joe average drone flyer out there. If you buy this Mini SE, you know what? No matter how cheap it is, you waste your money because in less than 6 months, you'll be buying a better DJI drone like the Air 2S, or, you know, maybe all like the Mavic.
Yeah.
You'll have this is just going to whet your appetite, and you're going to go out in a few months. I'm going to say less than 6 months. You're going to get a more expensive model. So basically, you didn't save that $300 because you might as well tack that on to the, you know, the $900 or $1,000 you're paying for a better one.
Rod, what you're saying is it's a gateway drug?
It's a gateway drug to the DJI's more expensive gear. So my advice is, if you don't have a drone now, or your current drone is something like this or whatever, just skip the $300 SE and go right to something like the Air 2S or whatever, because you're not really spending more money when you just go right to this, because you're just saving all those drones that you're buying to work your way up to this guy or whatever.
Hey guys, I need to sign off. I've got some other obligations here, but great discussion tonight.
Marcus has to go before I talk about getting the SE.
No, I'm still getting it, Ron. I'm a drone nerd.
I got to talk Marcus down off the edge of the, you know, off the cliff, off the edge of the ledge.
You take care of me, Ron. You always do.
No, Marcus. You know, I know Marcus has family coming in town, so I want to wish him having a good time with his family visit, and then he's off to the Hood Mountain, the beautiful and probably cool climate of the Hood Mountain in Central Oregon. I'm sure
Mount Hood, and I'm taking that new Mini SE with me, Ron.
I'm sure it's going to be a great adventure. Now make sure that you bring that Mini SE back in one piece, Marcus, because you remember, you don't have any obstacle avoidance or anything.
Dude, yes, sir.
Don't let that thing get caught up in a headwind.
10-4, buddy.
We don't want that thing visiting Astoria.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sorry, folks. If people don't know Oregon, don't know our Oregon jokes.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Adios.
Thank you for having me on,
Marcus.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Well, you know, I kind of wanted to continue about the Hubsan Zino Mini Pro. You know, it's like, and Marcus and I talked about this, and it's like, okay, Marcus, I think he said May 8th was the day he put his $569 down. I think it was May 18th for me. You know,
I think it was the 7th, but they didn't take the money until the 10th of May. You know,
okay.
I think my actual order was done on the 7th, but the PayPal or whatever gave the, you know, however you want to say it, took the money was taken on the 10th.
Yeah. So, you know, it's like, okay, you know, they've had that money this long, you know, and we talked about this, you know, what a disaster that live show was that they had and all this. But you know what? This is Hubsan's chance, Ron, to redeem themselves, okay? If they can come out, and Marcus and I talked about this, if they can come out of the gate, okay, no firmware updates, okay, that obstacle avoidance works like it's supposed to, that you're going to get that runtime that you're supposed to, that it's going to, you know, fly like a drone should.
And I'm not supposed to point, but it did hover for about 30 minutes in that ill-fated event. So the 30-minute time is probably about right.
Yeah. So, you know, it needs to come out of the box running, okay, and to do everything it says.
The old saying is, it's got to hit the ground running.
Exactly. It's got to hit that ground running, or, you know, it's going to be here we go again, another, you know, another 30 firmware updates, and it's finally going to do what it's supposed to do.
The last thing it can afford to do is have get out in the very first videos that people have it like not hovering well, you know, sliding all over the place and all that. It can't have the old problems.
Exactly. You can't have that old problems with that, because if you do, it's going to shut off sales. It's just people are just going to say no to it and still go in the just
and they're going to have a problem either way, Bill, because if that happens and it shuts off sales, that's a big problem. But what if it does come out, Bill, and it's everything it says it is, and almost everything major and it works right, where they're going to have such a demand for the product, they won't be able to fill it for months. There'll be a back order for months, Bill, if that thing is everything it's supposed to be.
Well, when we talked about the Mavic 3 tonight a little bit earlier, Ron, the article from DroneDJ was talking about how they'll be producing it for 2 months before they even think about releasing it.
Right. The October dates we hear was just finalizing the build.
Right. And they'll be cranking out enough units because they remember what happened when the original Mavic came out, okay? And what a disaster it was because they didn't plan for it to sell like it did. And it flew out literally. I mean, if people ordered in October, they didn't get it till January, on a lot of instances.
Yeah, well, this time around with that pent-up frustration, I mean, Bill, you and I were looking for it in 2020, and now fast forward, it won't be in 2020. There'll be a pent-up demand for it. I know it's going to be very expensive, but people, I think, have kind of come to that conclusion. It's going to be the best-selling expensive drone ever.
I agree.
It won't touch the SE or the Minis or anything like that as far as unit sales, but for an expensive drone, it'll be probably the biggest success of all time.
I agree. And Marcus and I were talking about price, and we were thinking it's probably going to range. It's probably, Marcus would say he would even maybe expect it to hit maybe about $2,400-$2,500.
Well, you saw in the DroneDJ article, they speculated it did have the micro 3/4 camera.
Yeah.
Whatever. So that's going to up the cost, because you've got a sensor that's considerably bigger than the 1-inch sensor now. But they said it wouldn't have zoom. So I'm thinking I think people want interchangeable lenses, but read between the lines, all speculation on my part. I think it'll have the bigger sensor, but I still think it may have a permanent lens on it. It won't have a
I think so
you
too.
won't, because the weight, we talked about the weight, of putting those lenses on it, but they can still use that sensor and use a permanent fixed lightweight lens, which I'm just speculating that's.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ron. I think that's how they're gonna go with that. I mean,
but still having a sensor that's much bigger than a 1-inch sensor. I don't know the math here, but much bigger. I mean, low light and everything like that. That's going to be, we're all going to die and go to heaven when we get that thing, Bill.
Oh my gosh, it's like it's like looking at the expression on your face when we were at the beach, and when you were looking at your Mavic Pro, and then you looked at my Mavic 2 Pro, and you were like, wow, wow. Just looking at the view, you could tell, how looking at yours it was dark, and then you looked at mine and it's just like, wow.
Yep. Side by side, yep.
And this is what it's going to be. It's going to have a wow factor to it. And and we were also kind of leaning towards thinking this is gonna really check a lot of those professional boxes off for a lot of people, because we call it a prosumer drone. It's going to lean more probably towards professionals, and it's really going to have all the bells and whistles on it.
Yeah, and anymore today, the specs are so good in a lot of these drones. I think what makes the difference between a lot of these professional drones. I mean, I know some need the FLIR camera and some need the zoom cameras, but a lot of it's in the software now. All you have to do is get that SD kit out so that this drone's going to work with all those. Name me a couple of the apps, the enterprise apps. There's a whole bunch of enterprise apps out there. A couple of them are real popular, and you kind of want your drone to work with that. Now, I have no idea whether DJI wants to position these to work in those enterprise apps or whatever, but because they do have an enterprise series of Mavic 2s right now, so I don't know how much they want this Mavic 3 infringing on their almost separate enterprise line of drones.
Yeah, I think you're right. You raise a good point, because those enterprise drones have sold very well for a lot of, like search and rescue and fire organizations and so forth. It's really kind of carried some good weight for them. So, they don't want to, mess their sales up with that on that one end.
But the Mavic 3 could be perfect for somebody just doing real estate, somebody that's not doing other more heavy duty type of enterprise work. But if you're just shooting real estate photos, this could be the end all be all drone if you're, as I said, doing real estate stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For somebody for like Ken Dono or Billy, that do that kind of stuff. I mean, that's gonna really bode very well for them. I mean, it's gonna and it's gonna be like when you go to the beach and you want to just get a great sunset. Okay, this is going to happen all the time with that. I mean, it will literally be professional quality. I mean, there'll be no question.
And us people here, a lot of people in chat, we just post our stuff online. So the one-inch sensors bring enough image quality to the table that it looks good on displayed online. But say photographers that actually want to print, like, take pictures of sunsets and whatever, and print like big, wall, paintings out or whatever, that extra detail will really come into play when you're doing that. But nobody's going to be able to tell the difference between a 1-inch sensor picture and a micro four thirds picture on their phone or whatever, on their tablet,
right,
whatever.
on a phone or a tablet, yeah.
Yeah, but when you're printing out, huge oil-based things or metal or whatever, that's when you're going to see the difference.
Oh yeah, because there'll be so much more detail and it'll be so much sharper with that. I mean, it'll make a lot of difference.
And when you're editing photos, the more detail in there, the more headroom you have to edit.
Yeah, and one of the other things that Marcus and I talked about, the article really seemed very believable, Ron, because it wasn't there weren't really any new pictures there, but it gave a lot of information, and it gave a lot of information that really truly made a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. So this looks like very solid information and real information. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, and if you're going for kind of clickbait, or if you're trying to be sensational, you're not saying the drone's not coming out next year. You're saying it's coming out next week. You know what I mean? So if you're making stuff up, you're not going to make something up saying it's delayed. Or it's coming out late, because you get less clicks than if you say it's coming out.
Yeah,
whatever. So
saying it's coming out first quarter of 2022 is not going to get you the views. I mean, right. It's providing some good information.
Yeah, and good on its reporting. Hopefully,
Yeah, I was really, really happy to see that. I think that was a good thing. So we'll
we have so many drones. I mean, I was kind of hoping it would come out in the October time period at the latest rumor did or whatever. But I mean, again, we have so many drones. Whether it comes out October, January, or whatever, whatever. I mean, it's not like I feel like I'm losing out anything flying the Air 2S. It's not like I'm hampered because I don't have it. And I put a note about this at DroneDJ. Just a funny. I hope you guys didn't sell your Mavic 2 Pros off early. The bankroll, the Mavic 3. If you did, you may have jumped too fast. But of course, if you have this, then it's not that big of a deal that you sold your Mavic 2 Pro off.
Exactly. Well, when I sold my original Mavic Pro, it was after I had received the invite for the launch event in August of 2018. So I knew it was coming. So at that point in time, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get it sold before everybody starts putting theirs on the market. And I got a good price for mine. I didn't get what I paid for it, but I got a pretty decent price because the closer you wait till launch something like that, and then after that, it's not gonna you're gonna lose that value. So I was pretty smart in my timing and the same here with this. It's like until there is something concrete and firm and rock solid on something like this, hang on to your Mavic 2s, guys. Don't unless you think the Air 2S is a drone that can do everything you want it to do. Hang on to it. It's going to be a while. Yeah,
I mean, I still think. If I could only have one drone and it was a Mavic 2 Pro or the Air 2S, I may still lean to the Mavic 2 Pro, and I don't have any real concrete thing to tell you that this is better. But it's just something I just still feel a little bit better with it. But I'm really cutting it thin on saying that.
Yeah, and I think for us, we have to keep things kind of in perspective and to realize here, and this is a hard thing, I think, a lot of times, because we're so in tune and in touch with the hobby, and we're so in touch with everybody else and everything, we kind of forget these are companies that are out to make money. Okay, they're doing commerce. Okay, and they really, like we talked about with Autel and probably trying to get into the mini market themselves last night. They're out to make a buck, and bottom line, and whether we want one out or not, it's not going to matter. It's going to be their timing, their marketing, their time. Their time will be right for releasing that drone.
Yeah. And somebody made a good point. I don't know if we said last night, but I think Randall Warner said this on the show. He said, like, you don't have to buy every new drone that comes out or whatever. And he's right. I mean, in the old days, when a new drone came out from DJI, it was drastically better than the one before. I mean, it was like worlds better. But nowadays, a drone comes out, it's a little bit better than the model previously, but it's not like head over heels better than the previous model. Like the Mavic 2 Air S, it's better. It's better drone than the Air 2 was, no doubt about it. But it's not worlds better.
Right. I mean, there's some nice things on the Air 2S, but the Air 2 still can, is still a capable drone. It'll still get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, and it's still, and you get a little bit better flight time with it. It'll go a little bit further than the Air 2S, even though it doesn't have Oculus Stage 3, but it'll go further because it doesn't run out of batteries fast.
Very true.
And also, I mean, I know this is all digital, but it has HDR in it, and the Air 2S doesn't.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of good points with that. And, and I think people need to realize that before they decide to go ahead and upgrade. What am I losing? Okay. I'm gaining. This is what I'm gaining, and always, it's like do a plus and minus sheet, write down the pluses, write down the minuses, and look at it and see what's going to be best for you.
Yeah. Hey, and this is an inside baseball tip here. But remember my whole recent thing where I couldn't get the Air 2S to zoom or whatever, and it was because I had it in I had it in D-Log, whatever.
D-Log, yeah.
But you also cannot do it in 5.4K, and you cannot do it in 4K 60 frames per second. But I did find out if you put it in 2.7K, you can zoom in higher frame rates. And I forget the exact one, but in 1080p 60 frames per second, you can zoom all the way up to 8.5 times. So,
wow. Okay.
So if you want the higher frame rate, you just have to go down in resolution, but you still can zoom in higher frame rates at lower resolutions.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, and the perfect betweeners are put in 2.7K. You can still zoom. You can still zoom into higher frame rates, and you can zoom higher than you can in 4K. So just a little inside baseball tip there. There
you go. There's an inside tip from Ron Brown. So, and I got to thank you for having me on the show last night. That was a great. Mark and I talked about it a little bit. That was a great panel. We had a great discussion last night, and I told people, I said, if you missed last night's show, please go back and watch it because we really covered a lot of ground, and it was really good. And
we had Lauren's unique insight into things.
Yeah, and I loved having Lauren on. It was good seeing him, and I love his insight into things. It really makes a difference for everybody. So
we've had a couple. Last night we didn't have any news, but we hashed over a lot of possibilities, and today we got a lot of news. So it's been kind of a hectic 48 hours, Bill.
Yeah, it's going to be the UPS man and the FedEx man are going to be busy people in the next few days because I got a lot of stuff.
I didn't get to ask you, Bill. Who did you order from?
Amazon.
And you're coming tomorrow?
It'll come Thursday.
Okay. When I first saw it this morning, I could have ordered and had it here tomorrow.
Yeah, I tried. I was telling Marcus I could have tried my Best Buy. They weren't delivering until next Tuesday.
Yeah, my Best Buy not my Best Buy, but Best Buy online would have got it here on Thursday. I could have picked it up in my Best Buy store on Friday.
Yeah. See, I didn't even.
But who knows? You may did this an hour later than me. Things could have changed drastically in that hour or two.
True, as far as inventory is concerned.
As far as shipping and all that.
Shipping, because there's been a lot. See, there's been a lot of delays with shipping because of COVID-19, and people don't realize that, and they need to take that into consideration.
I'm going to guess by later, later in the day tomorrow, if people get them up right away, you could see some unboxings tomorrow night from normal people. I don't mean, big YouTube, 500 subscriber channels. I mean, little channels could be having video unboxings and stuff up by tomorrow night.
Well, I don't know if you know, Aldrin Anastasio had a video on the Mini SE.
Oh boy, I am shocked, Bill.
I am too.
No, I love Aldrin. I'm not picking Aldrin at all, but I'm shocked. I mean, if you were DJI, why would you not send Aldrin one right away?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and that's why I'm kind of surprised. You don't see Billy getting one. You didn't see Billy getting one. You didn't see Rick Smith getting one. You didn't see Kelly getting one.
Yeah. I guess I'm not knocking any of these guys at all, but I guess with Aldrin, you're guaranteed that he's going to make the video that day. You know what I mean? Some of these other guys, like, we know them and we know they have busy lives. Like Billy may not just be able to stop whatever he's doing, to stop the world and just make this drone video the minute he gets it in. But but Aldrin must have some kind of window that he could just stop the world and just do that
this. Yeah, because especially, and Ken too. Both Ken and Billy. I mean, that's what they do full time is basically drone photography, and you can't just say, oh, okay, I'm going to stop right now and we're gonna fly the Mini SE and we're gonna unbox it and do all that. You can't do that. You got to plan for that kind of stuff with them. And
to Aldrin's credit, Aldrin has about the least amount of fluff in his videos than anybody. When Aldrin gets the drone out, it's not a whole lot of extra going on. He's just all business. You know what I mean?
All business.
He's stoic, and I mean, I'm saying this lovely. He's stoic. He's focused. He's not like making jokes on the side. He's not doing an entertainment video at all. He's just talking about that drone.
And he does. He gets to the point, and which is really good. And I love those kind of videos. So, Ron, you have any closing thoughts for tonight?
Again, just it's been kind of a whirlwind day with this SE dropping on us in the wee hours of the morning yesterday here in the U.S. And I want to kind of apologize. I mean, I was quoting Rick Smith a lot on his theory about it not coming out until the Mini 3 came out. And again, Rick didn't say this is going to happen. That was all just speculation on his part. He wasn't saying he had any information. He was just speculating. We all, Bill, you and I speculated the Mavic 3 would come out in 2020. Everybody speculates wrong, right? That's the if you speculated right on everything, well, you wouldn't be a drone reviewer. You'd be a Swami or something, right? So I just want to defend my buddy Rick Smith because I was quoting him a lot last night. But
and Marcus did too. So and I've been trying, and Marcus said you need to have Rick on, and I said I've been sending Rick emails. Rick, if you're out there listening, okay, I'm going to send you a text. We want to have you on. I'd like to have you on next week if possible. So if you hear me, text me back, and we'll make arrangements and have you on next week.
If you don't hear from Rick, that probably means he's under several NDAs.
Well, yeah. Well, Marcus said, and I didn't watch his video, and I'm sure I think you probably did on the Mini SE. He said he's not under NDA right now. So
right, but I know whenever he talks about the Zino Mini, he always says, "I'm not under NDA," but he tells it, "But please send me one. I want to go under NDA."
Yeah, I really want to go under NDA.
Yeah. So folks, again, I didn't want to be a Debbie Downer in the SE. Again, if you don't have any of these drones I'm talking about, go out and get the SE. It's the best under $300 drone and $300 drone in the market there. I mean, I don't have it, but I'm sure it's going to be a winner. It's using all sorts. It's using just recycled parts that were all good parts. So it's going to be a good drone. It's going to be the best value. It's going to be a good way for beginners and people that only have toy drones to step up to the a real good camera drone. So again, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but if you already have a bunch of expensive one-inch sensor drones around, if you're a drone collector, get it. You got to have every drone get it. But otherwise, it's really not. It's really not the drone for you.
Yeah, you're right, and it makes a lot of sense. And for me, I was real pleased to see some news about the Mavic 3 today. That was some good news and some solid information there, which I think is is pretty doggone accurate. The Mini SE was a total bomb out of the sky. You know, didn't expect that, didn't see that coming. I mean, I thought it was coming, but I didn't think it was coming this soon. But it's a good thing, and so we'll see when it hits my doorstep on Thursday. That's going to be interesting. Going to have some fun with that.
Then will you order the Hubsan SE to compare them head to head?
Probably not. Okay, I'm going to be saving my nickels and dimes and pennies for Q1 2022. So
right. Or again, I kept my $300 in pocket. If that all-tel mini drops in the next quarter or whatever, I got $300 down payment on it that I just saved.
That's See, well, I also have 180 in DJI credit, so that's probably where I'm going to be ordering, because I'm going to probably need to scrape every nickel and dime and break a couple of piggy banks to get the Mavic 3. That's probably the way that's going to be.
Right.
So
You may not own the SE for that long, huh? That may be on sale around the first of the year.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking there. So, but yeah, I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight.
Yeah, it looks like we had a good crowd. Barry's in here. Barry says aloha for all the wonderful folks.
Barry, aloha. Thank you for keeping on top of things and letting Marcus and Ron and everybody know what's going on. That's always a good thing. And for everybody in the chat tonight, great chat. I was watching you guys engaged in some incredibly good chat, and that's what I like about you guys. You guys are responsive, and we're all one in this. Okay, you know, not only in the drone community, but in life, and want everybody to stay safe and be well. And as always, guys, remember, it's always a great day to fly. Have a great week, guys. Take care.